Welcome to The Passion Pod with your host, Chris Johnson. Thanks for joining us. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the feature presentation.
Season 4, Episode 3.
Welcome back, friends, for our most premium episode to date. Today, we're chatting with the only barber that has ever cut my hair, believe it or not. I never have anyone cut my hair, actually. I always just buzz it. I've done that since college. But anyways, welcome to the show, owner of Premium Blendz Barber Lounge in Eau Claire, Navontay Wilson.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me at your shop. I didn't realize you guys are normally closed on Mondays because it's a Monday morning right now, and you got me coffee, and we're sitting in your sweet little shop here. It's dope.
Definitely. I guess the traditional way that barbers do things is Sundays and Mondays were closed, but for what reason, I don't know.
Yeah, that's kind of like, I think tattooers and stuff like that a lot of times too. And a lot of downtown shops are like that because they don't want to miss out on the Saturday business, you know,
precisely.
but like we're still trying to have a weekend. Yeah,
Right.
I mean, it sucks to like miss Saturday, which actually I work Saturdays forever. And then finally, last year maybe, I was like, dude, I'm out. So now I have an employee there. I'm like, I got to have
Nice.
Saturdays off. Anyway, so who are you and what do you do?
My name is Navontay Wilson. I am a master barber from Minneapolis, Minnesota originally. I moved down to North Carolina back in, I want to say like 2013 or something. Went to Barber School for 2 years down there, graduated, moved back to Minneapolis. I've been a barber for 6 years total now. Worked at a couple of shops up in Minneapolis, moved to Eau Claire, opened my own shop, and we've been in business for about a year and a half now.
Yeah, which is crazy that like you open and then a pandemic hits, you know, that early on in the
Yeah,
business. That added
definitely.
like some pretty extra stress, especially because like your first year of business is already stressful because you don't really know like when money's coming in. You're trying to get
Right.
used to this like really erratic lifestyle. And then something like a pandemic hits and they just shut you down. And then you're applying for grants going like, well, I hope this money comes that I'm not expecting. Yeah.
Precisely.
Pretty
like I was
rough.
coming out of that the first year, excited just to get through the first year. And I was like, man, yeah, it's going to be like a legendary year. I got a lot of planned and pandemic hits. And I'm like, oh, okay.
I think it really separated the men from the boys, though. You know what I mean?
Oh, for
Like
sure.
a lot of people just like quit and gave up or whatever. And then you have the other people that were, I was talking to you off mic about not taking no as like the answer and going, well, okay, these are the problems. I'm not going out of business. I'm not going to go do something else because I already have
Right.
it set in my mind. I'm going to figure out how this is going to work.
Just got to figure it out, man.
Yeah, I mean, we're doing it. So what's the best way for people to follow you, see your stuff, and get in contact with you?
You can find me on premiumblendz.com mainly. All our social handles are Premium Blendz. That is PREMIUM Blendz, BLENDZ. You can also follow me on Instagram at Tayblendz, TAYBLENDZ.
Yeah, so now you can expect to have your DMs just blow up. It's going to be obnoxious, but that's okay.
I try to get to them.
I get way too many. No, I'm just kidding. So I don't know like the barbershop lifestyle thing. Like I said, I never really did that. All I've seen is those barbershop movies that are hilarious, or at least I thought they were funny. Cedric the Entertainer and stuff.
That sums it up.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm assuming there must have been a barbershop that you kicked it at when you were younger, right?
Oh, definitely.
So what was the name of that one?
That was H. White Men's Room,
Where was that?
North Minneapolis.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I kicked it there when I was younger, and then I actually ended up working there for 2 years before I moved to Eau Claire. So,
Yeah. So what was so cool about it? I mean, like for me, the skateboard shop is where I hung out. It was just like I thought those dudes were cool, and it was like the community place that wasn't my parents' house. You know what I mean? There was no
Right.
parents around. I could go hang out. Yeah, like we were supervised, and I didn't get any trouble or anything. But it was like the cool place. You know what I
Right.
mean? So, is it similar for you? Like, what did the barbershop offer you?
it's definitely the cool place. Definitely a place just to be yourself in a barbershop. It's pretty much where, me growing up, there wasn't a lot of male figures to look up to, like leaders in the community or whatever. So that was pretty much where you went to, and without you knowing it or not, like you were learning how to be a man. So that's what that was for me.
Do you have any favorite memories of that place that like kind of stick out when you think about it?
Okay, so H White Men's Room. It's called H White because one of my mentors' name is Houston White, and it's his barbershop, so they call it H White Men's Room. My other mentor that worked there was Sean, and man, we have so many memories. But one that sticks out is so it's kind of a like that community hub, and he's definitely made it that. Like it's grown times 10 since I've been there. So we used to have this coffee station, and get other beverages or whatnot. And I'm on break, and I go over to get a soda, and Sean's like, "Yo, can you grab me one of the sodas?" And I'm like, "Nah." And I walk over to my station and I start cutting hair or whatever. And he's like, "Okay, all right, that's cool." Going on throughout the day, I'm getting clientele, steadily cutting hair. All of a sudden, my phone start like blowing up. I'm like, "What the hell's going on?" So I'm answering the phones, texts. They're like, "Yo, yeah, your Honda that you're selling. Can I buy that? Like, is that still?" I'm like, I'm not selling my car. What the fuck going on? So maybe after like 5 texts and 10 calls, I'm like, yo, why does people keep hitting me up saying my car's for sale? And my guy Sean's like, yeah, you remember when you didn't give me that soda? Yeah, go on Craigslist, put your car up for sale. I go to Craigslist. He literally went outside, took a picture of my car, and put it up for sale on Craigslist.
Oh my God.
Ridiculous, bro. That's my guy though. Man.
That's wild. That's one thing that I miss like about having coworkers. Is like you don't get to, I don't like, I love working by myself. It's awesome. And I get to hang out with my friends all the time. But
Right.
like I miss the weird little camaraderie and stuff that you do when you're bored when you work together.
But that was insane though.
That's a little over the top, I think, about not getting a
I
soda.
mean that's Sean though, man.
That's awesome. So you moved around quite a bit. Why did you choose Eau Claire? I'm always like surprised by it. And then especially something like a barbershop. Like we just don't have a diverse community here in general.
Right.
Like there's not a lot of places that black people can go get their hair like cut effectively because there's not a lot of black people that cut hair.
Right.
So why would you like go from somewhere like Minneapolis where there's a little bit more like clientele that's just like there versus coming to somewhere like Eau Claire and opening up something like this?
Well, I did have the opportunity to work at another barbershop here in Eau Claire. And at that point, I was pretty much just done with Minneapolis. Like, I'm born and raised there. So it was like, I felt like I learned all I could there and I kind of hit this ceiling and just wanted something new. I definitely saw the need for what I had to offer here in Eau Claire. So made the jump.
Yeah, sometimes it's not so much about finding something where there's like a ton of clientele necessarily, but when there's just like a niche need, right? Because you don't need 1,000 people that come here all the time. You need a much smaller number, just really loyal to be coming to you, which is something cool about Eau Claire is that it's like the community here is so like recognizing about how much a small business means to the town, and everybody is kind of community driven because of that. I've noticed that when I go to big cities, the weird anonymous factor, like I hate that when I go places.
What do you mean by anonymous?
Like if I go to even just like Minneapolis, people assume they'll never see you again and they treat you differently. Like even if you're just like in a line at Cub Foods, I feel like if you say something to somebody, everyone assumes you want something from them. Versus like places like this, I feel like people are so much friendlier. Maybe I'm like totally off, but that's been my experience everywhere that I've traveled. And being in Eau Claire, I feel like I'm kind of a part of something, much more so anyways. Right. I don't know. Maybe that's just my ego saying I'm like this big part of the picture, which I'm not. But I feel like a more significant piece when I'm in a place like this.
I mean, I believe that everything is perception. So with me thinking that someone's never going to see me again, it's like maybe I want to leave them with like a great impression of me rather than like me being an asshole.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's true. And I talk about it on the show all the time that I think it's funny that like the hard part is building yourself up and what you do and your skill sets to be worth anything. Like that's what takes a long time, right?
Precisely.
And then you ruin it so fast by just being somebody when like that's the easy part is just like be nice to people. I don't know why that's so hard for some people.
Right.
So I want to like, not everybody that is listening to this has been in here before, and a lot of people may not come to Eau Claire because the show isn't specifically about Eau Claire.
Right.
If you had to paint a picture for somebody in their minds, if they're closing their eyes and right now you're going to describe your shop to them, how are you going to do that?
Okay, so you walk into Premium Blendz Barber Lounge. There's incense burning, good music playing, probably like some old school hip hop or R&B. We greet you, say, how you doing? There's 3 people over playing pool. We're all cutting hair, laughing, cracking a joke. You're You come in, sit down on our nice couches, lounge, maybe get a cup of coffee, chill out for a minute, and you're just thrown into the middle of whatever we were just conversating about, and you're part of your family now.
I dig it. It's like I said, it's kind of similar to like how the skate shop was for me. You know what I mean? It's not, you didn't need an appointment necessarily to roll through and just like hang out with everybody. It was just like it's partially just like a social gathering place. And that's what I always tell people about my shop too, is like, I don't pressure people to buy anything because I'm like, dude, you'll just buy stuff when you want to buy it. That's not the point. You know, the fact that it's a retail store is almost secondary. Like it's more, in my mind, it's more of a community hub than it is actually a store. The money just comes because I'm doing the right thing, I think. You know what I mean? By people, but the community hub is like the more important part of it.
Oh, definitely. Like people just come here just to chill and talk and just get this vibe because it's such a rare thing, especially here in Eau Claire. Yeah, a lot of people don't even come in and get haircuts. They just come in, talk shit, and grab a cup of coffee and head out the door, you know? So
yeah, I'm sure there was a lot of people that were just starving to have this. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people like you that you're saying that there really wasn't like a whole lot of places like this that existed around Eau Claire. So all of a sudden when there finally is one, you're like, damn, this is something I wanted, especially if anybody was from somewhere else where they used to have a shop. You know?
We've gotten that a lot, like people that know what the barbershop is supposed to be and, you know, moved from one place to another here in Eau Claire. And it's like, this is that old hometown feeling. So before they're even in, like we get that connection to them that they feel. So it's dope.
Yeah, like I said, I've talked about this a lot before, but I always thought skateboarding was such a unique industry in that way. And then I've come to find out like that's not really the case. You know what I mean? And I don't know that barbershops are exclusively the case either because I'm a diver now and I go into a dive shop. It's the same thing too. It's like whenever you do something you really care about, like it seems like that community is so much more welcoming and it's such a different experience than what you would get in like a regular retail thing, you know what I mean? Or any kind of chain thing. And it's funny that people that are in their own like little zones, like a barbershop or a dive shop or whatever, a lot of those people think it's exclusive to that. And they realize like, no, that, like there's these types of little communities kind of all over the place. You know what I mean? All these different industries.
And they gravitate towards you once you're doing what you need to be doing and you're in that space. Like people that are looking for that literally just come towards you. I can't explain what that is, but it's a natural thing.
Yeah, like when I travel, I have to visit whatever the local skate shop is.
I have to visit a
that's
barbershop.
What I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. People think it's crazy when they're like, "Oh, what'd you do this day?" When I was in Japan or something, and I'm like, "Oh, well, one of the days I just like looked up what are the skate-around shops and like I made sure to go hit those."
I thought that was a barber thing. I was just telling my business partner Johnny. He had went to Vegas for Thanksgiving. And I'm like, yo, you got to check out a barbershop. Like, I thought that was a barber thing. I'm like, that is the barber rule. Like, you go to another city, you got to check out another barbershop while you're down there. But apparently not.
Yeah, like I said, I think it's a lot of like little niches that like people aren't really aware of, which is kind of cool because it all brings us together. And you know what I mean? I think that's one of the things that's worked out with the show is like realizing that was when it kind of clicked in my mind anyways, was realizing that like I'm so similar to all these people. And it's just because I really like what I'm doing.
We're all similar,
you know what I mean?
Bro.
So with your shop, the way it is right now, it's dope. It's really, really nice in here. But
thank you.
Is it everything you want to be currently? Are you, because I mean, this early in business, a lot of times people are still doing a lot of different changes and stuff with them based on whether it was money or time or whatever.
It's definitely, I'm happy where it is right now, but it's definitely still work that needs to be done. I appreciate you saying it's dope, but there's so much more shit that I could do and places that I can take this place. I definitely got to get some more pictures on the wall back here for sure. This is the Premium Blendz Legends wall. Basically, people that are dope at what they do and have reached that legendary status. As of right now, we have Mac Miller, Tupac, Biggie, J. Cole, and Nipsey Hussle up there. Definitely going to expand it to not only be rappers, but just people that are dope and doing dope shit and have reached a certain level of icon in life and personal, you know, our personal opinions of it, of course. I definitely want to put a manicure station and a pedicure chair in here. That's what this actually back area is for. Move the coffee over to the front and put that in. It's kind of going to be like a all-around grooming for men. A lot of men think that they can, you know, come in, get their hair cut, and be good for whatever event they're going through. And it's like, bro, no, just take care of yourself. So definitely want to introduce manicures and pedicures to my clientele and make them feel like royalty.
Yeah, I think men are starting to open their minds a little bit and like stop trying to play this weird man card about like mental health, about their physical health, about their appearance and everything. You know what I'm saying?
I gotta feel good, bro.
Right. But I think more and more people are like becoming aware of it. You know what I mean? That they can do those things. And you know what I mean? Guys going to get massages and stuff like that and going like, damn, this feels good. This is actually a good idea.
Gotta get a massage at least once a month, man.
Dude, I've only gotten one massage in my life. When I was in Thailand, I got one on the beach. That's it. Otherwise, I've never gotten one.
On the beach?
Yeah.
You bougie.
No, we're talking Thailand. It's cheap. It was like
got you.
$10 or something for an hour. It was ridiculous. But that's what it's like in Thailand. Anyways, what's a random fun fact about you that most people wouldn't know and might surprise them?
Ooh. Growing up, I went to 12 different schools.
Through 12 years?
Yep.
Why? How?
Well, growing up, we were poor as shit. So moved around a lot, got evicted from a lot of places, just wasn't stable at all. So
wild. And now all of a sudden you're a business owner in a place like Eau Claire where you're like anchored as hell. That's funny.
Yeah.
I know you're like, I shouldn't say I'm not motivated. I'm a pretty motivated person, but I feel like I'm way different than you as far as my like regular daily schedule goes because I see you on Instagram constantly at the gym and stuff like that.
Right.
Give me a quick rundown of what your typical day looks like.
Well, normally I wake up at 4:30 a.m., do a little bit of yoga, meditate for like 15 to 20 minutes, head to the gym, get my daily workout in, come back home, kind of plan out my day, shower, of course, because I stink by then. I try to get like 10 pages of a book in each day. I kind of try to do that in the morning. If not, I get to it right before I go to sleep. Plan my day. I try to get like 3 to 5 things, depending on how big they are, and things that I want to get done that day and try to accomplish those throughout the day. I come in, open the shop, get the vibe right, play some good music, burn an incense, maybe burn some sage if I feel like the energy isn't right. Cut hair throughout the day, get those 3 things done, come home, maybe watch a movie, watch a TV show, and head off to sleep.
Dang. That's a long day. I woke up this morning. What did I do? I sat in my hot tub and drank coffee and then I came here. That was it.
You have a hot tub?
Yeah, I got a hot tub. Come on. I got divorced this year. I got a bachelor pad. I bought a brand new hot tub this summer as a gift myself, and it was 90 degrees for a week after I bought it. Now it's the best thing ever, but that week I was just staring at it. It's on my porch. So
I can't wait to hop my ass in here.
Dude, every day. So yeah, it's on my screened-in porch on the back of my house. So I just like open my sliding door and just like hop right in. Bought it brand new, so it should last me a good 10 years or something. It's got the little waterfall thing, all the lights and all that. Yeah, I know. I was like, this is exactly what I deserve now. That's how I felt about it.
I feel you.
You're a pretty new business owner, which a lot of times this early on in entrepreneurship, you like never graduate from like the initial thing you're trying to do because there's so much more you have to build up in that initial thing you're trying to do. Mm-hmm. But knowing you're like always doing stuff. I feel like when I talk to you, you always like have different ideas for this thing you're doing or this person you want to work with or whatever. What are the other things that are like cooking up that you're working on outside of this shop?
What people think would be my next move would be open another barbershop at a different location, build that one up, and like have a like kind of a what's it called?
Like a little chain?
Yeah, a little chain of shops or whatever. But me personally, I think I'm gonna focus more on the branding side. Like there's like avenues that barbers can take in the industry that aren't typically taken. I definitely want to get a product line going, men's grooming line. Shampoo, hair moisturizer, conditioner, all that good stuff. So I'll definitely be doing that in the future. I'm working on my own podcast actually as well. It's kind of similar to what you're doing, but not. It'll mostly be me and my business partner, Johnny. I mean, every once in a while, we'll bring on a guest. I like to focus on authenticity, so it's not going to be like, people come on and promote their shit. It's more like, nah, we f with this person. This is actually our friend, and he's going to be on the podcast today. Like, if we f with you, you're going to be on. But if not, But basically, we're just going to be talking about everything that's going on in the world, being a man. It's kind of like that real barbershop, authentic feel on shit, which is, I feel like, is a hole that needs to be filled. I feel like everything is just so sensitive these days.
Yeah, yeah. Well, nobody wants to offend anybody, which is always kind of
Exactly.
tough. It's always kind of tough because, like, I try to explain to people, like, you're not going to be the solution for everybody. That's not possible,
You
right?
can't make
Like, that
everybody
doesn't,
happy, bro.
it doesn't work that way. And the
Right.
idea is to figure out if I'm authentic and this is what I'm trying to do, is there enough audience for that niche for it to work? Yes or no? Probably yes. But if all of a
Definitely.
sudden you get away from that authenticity because you don't want to turn anybody away, yeah, you're not turning anyone away, but you're not drawing anyone in either. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's kind of
No,
like both
so
parts of that.
so you focus on the people that like you and make them love you versus like focusing on the people that kind of don't with you and trying to reel them into like, oh, I like this person. Like, no, I have people that already like me. I just got to focus on making them love me rather than people that don't with me, like try to pull them in and, that's how I live my life. That's how I built my business. Like, if you don't like the color on my walls, like, please don't come here. Like, I have people that love premium blends that are willing to be here. So that's how I
Yeah.
live my life.
Oh, absolutely. So, just out of curiosity, we were kind of talking about this off mic. I don't really like working with other people all that crazy much. I like to be completely in charge of what I'm doing. I basically just don't like depending on other people. Like, I'm willing to work with other people, but I
Yeah.
hate that I like have to wait on somebody else to do something
Yeah.
before I can take my next step. How are you with that? Do you enjoy working with other people a lot, or do you kind of prefer to just do your own thing? Because you have a business partner, you're not entirely in this on your own, right?
Right. Exactly. It's a struggle that I've had to, I don't know if I'm still healing from that. Like, I guess growing up, I didn't have a lot of people that were dependable. So I try to do everything on my own. But, if there's a way to help, I'm hella hard at asking for help. Like, I can't do it. Like, if there's a harder route with me doing it on my own, I'm gonna take that route rather than like asking someone for help. So it's something that I'm still working on. But overall, I do enjoy working with people for sure. Just having to depend on people, that's not me. If I gotta depend on you, I can't do it.
I feel you. I preach it all the time, and maybe it's getting to an obnoxious point, but I always tell people that how I try to look at it is whenever I can identify something that's mutually beneficial, that's the way to go. Because if I feel like you're doing me a favor, now I feel like I owe you. I hate that feeling so
Yeah,
much.
I can't do that.
And I also get really turned off when people just straight up ask me for a favor. You know what I mean? That's why, like, when I reach out to people, a lot of times I'm like, hey, if you're ever interested, it'd be cool to work together, rather than saying it would be cool to do something specific. I say it'd be cool to work together. And then if they're open to it, say, okay, what can we do that is mutually beneficial? How can I help you and you help me? If we can identify that, awesome. If there isn't a way to do that, that's totally cool. I just don't want any weird, like, now I owe you or now you think whatever. So I ask guests sometimes, like, what do we want to do when your episode comes out? And sometimes their answer will be something where I can tell they think they're just doing me a favor. And I'm like, no, I don't
That's
want
not helping
that.
you at all.
Yeah, it doesn't
Right.
really help me if you're just doing me a favor and then it makes this relationship uncomfortable. Like, no, I have
Right.
tools that you can use. You have tools that I can use. How can we do this together?
What's that
And
called?
then you don't have to owe each other anything. And it's like, I don't know. It's just kind of a beautiful situation. You know what I mean?
Is that interdependence is the word I'm looking for?
Dude, you're a lot smarter than me. I didn't go to school, so
Me neither.
You probably you probably know. Okay, so you like working with other people. If you could pick anybody at all for any business, say maybe it's the hair care products and stuff you're talking about, the men's products. If you could have anybody as a business partner, who's it going to be?
Probably my brother Tim. He's not my actual brother by blood, but definitely my brother. He has so many different talents. Like he's talented across the board, and he hasn't like found like his passion yet and what he wants to do. But he's one of those people where like whatever he chooses to do, I know he's going to be a success at it. So just definitely him.
I think that's the most important part about being a business owner is having that drive and that like can't give up attitude. I don't really think it's that like you have to know. I forget when I saw, but I've seen this meme like a bunch of times or this like whatever this little thing a bunch of times that says like successful people don't learn how to do something and then accept it. Successful people accept a challenge and then learn it because they have to. You know what I'm saying?
Precisely. I mean, that's how I built this business. I preach that shit, like just wing it. Like that's what I did in business. Like I didn't know how to run a business. I never owned a business. But it's funny that once I decided to open a business, like, and I started taking those steps forward, it's like it's almost like the universe just like made it happen for me and gave me the tools I needed to get to where I was trying to go, it just happens. It flows together. And it was way easier than me like just sitting there thinking about it, making a business plan. I felt like at that stage it was like it damn near wasn't gonna work until I started to take those first steps, and it became like easy as
So yeah, I think honestly, a lot of people think opening a business is this far off thing. You know, it's like the kingdom off in the distance that they'll never reach. And then they get their cup of coffee and start walking a little bit, and they realize it's getting closer much faster than they realized. They're like, damn, this isn't nearly as far away. And I get people ask me all the time, like, how'd you start a business? You must have gone to school for that. And I'm like, maybe I'm like totally oblivious, but what schools teach you how to open up a skateboard shop? Or what school teaches you specifically how to open a barbershop? Maybe to be a barber, but to like open that. And every business is entirely different. Like
precisely.
You don't get a formal education on how to open the businesses that we do. You just have to believe in yourself and start working towards it. And it's honestly, I think it's so much simpler, not easy, but it's so much simpler than people make it out to be. They think that it's like this crazy, crazy thing. And it's like, well, no, not really. Everything, like you're saying, comes to you. It kind of like is self-explanatory when you like go about your day. You're like, well, clearly I have to paint these walls. Okay, cool. So you do that and you're like, oh, well, clearly I need to have more space for these chairs. That means I got to move these things. It's like everything's right in front of you. And if you looked at it as a whole, like one long list through a notebook, it seems like a crazy amount of things. But really, once you're doing it, you're like, this isn't that crazy. It's just me building it up to be something that it didn't have to be.
Right. And then also schools, like, they teach you skills or how to do a certain service and whatnot. Like I went to school to be a barber. They taught me how to cut hair. But as far as running a barbershop, that's a whole nother monster. I feel like people, like whatever industry they in, they think that they can, like they do a certain service or they sell a certain thing. So it's like, oh, I can just like open my own spot and do this and sell it. And it's like, nah, there's so much more to running a business rather than doing a service or, you know, whatever it is that they've done. So not a lot of people are cut out for it.
Yeah. And I mean, that comes down to like working with other people again, too. Even if you don't directly work with other people all the time, you have to learn from other people all the time because like nobody knows how to do everything that a business has and do all of it well, from doing your social media side to setting up your internet and Wi-Fi bullshit, to like getting your employees to be able to be there, to getting your signage done, licensing, like all these things are like, you just, and for me, and when I tell people, I always tell people when they're starting to like open their business, look at what can you do in this week and then focus on your week, get through that. And then next week you'll go, oh, dang, I got a lot of stuff done. Cool. What am I going to do this week? Because if you just look at it like as a huge picture, it's like,
you get exhausted as fuck.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. But if you're willing to ask for help, and the funny thing is so many people are unwilling to ask for help, but they don't realize when they Google something, they're inadvertently asking for help anyways. Like we're all asking for help. Just like be open about it. And there's probably people in your community
but
that
no one has it all figured out, bro.
No, maybe one day, but yeah, probably not.
No.
So who are some of the people that you look up to?
Number one, definitely probably be J. Cole. He was a huge motivating factor in me getting through high school, growing up. I actually have this tattoo. I don't know if you've ever seen it. $1 in a Dream. It's kind of his thing.
Oh, cool. Is that like a saying from a song or something? Or is that
he said it on multiple songs, but I've taken it as like one of my core values, I guess. Like I come from nothing. So, I mean, all I've ever had was $1 in a Dream. I mean, but I also believe that perception is everything. So I remember this, one of my old friends from when I was a kid, I was living in North Minneapolis, and I was listening to one of his songs and he says it, and he didn't understand like why I like J. Cole so much. I'm like, $1 in a Dream. Yeah, dog. Like, right? He's like, $1 in a Dream. Everybody got $1 in a Dream. What the f is that? I'm like, okay, so you don't see the motivating force behind that? Whatever. Anyway, he's locked up now and I own a business, so you know, perception.
Yeah. I'm such a spoiled little brat, dude. I went to a private school growing up, and like it was not like a crazy one, but I went to this little Catholic school growing up or whatever. My mom and my dad both made decent money. We lived in a pretty decent house. I stayed in the same place the whole time. Like I never had any kind of drama really in my life until I was an adult. And when I was like 21, that's when my parents all of a sudden split up. My dad almost died, and like a bunch of shit happened. Sheesh. But all that happened when I was an adult, when I already like had matured in my own grown mind where I'd gone through adolescence and I was like, could handle any like crazy stuff happening. And my parents always taught me from when I was young that I could be anything that I wanted. And I still legitimately believe that I can accomplish anything that I want, you know? And my sister's, she works for Google, got a doctorate degree and stuff. So I'm a loser next to her. But like, that was what I grew up around. And sometimes I take it for granted when I talk to other people and then I see like them be insecure about something or them be like, yeah, this is really tough because I'm the first one in my family to do these types of things. And I'm like, damn, I like need to be really grateful for how fewer obstacles I had in comparison to some people.
Yeah.
Like that's gnarly. And I'd actually talk about it, about my shop too, like in Eau Claire of, you know, when I opened my store, I was a young white male downtown. So all these parents, I think like without thinking about it, were like, yeah, this is a cool role model for my kid.
Yeah.
It would be so much harder to open up a skateboard shop if I was a heavily tattooed black male downtown, or if I was a female downtown, or if I was a transgender or gay or Jewish or whatever. If I was anything other than just like a straight white male, it would have been such a larger obstacle, I think, to be able to win over such, you know, be able to just like have general acceptance from the community for what I was doing.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And like when I can recognize that, I'm like, damn, I almost like feel bad about it because I'm like, this was like too easy kind of for me in comparison to what I'm seeing other people having to do. Like, I don't know how I would handle any of those challenges. Have you felt a lot of like challenges opening a business? Like we were talking about how you're on a different show and they talk with other people of color in the community that are business owners and stuff. And especially when all the Black Lives Matter stuff happened with the George Floyd murder, like somebody reached out and they're like, yeah, what are all the like black owned businesses in town? And I had like kind of struggled. I'm like, we really are like such a predominantly white community. I'm like, I don't really know. Was that kind of difficult for you? Was that a challenge or did you not really see that as a problem at all?
There were a couple of different challenges as far as opening up a business, being a black male. I tried to get a loan from Wells Fargo, a business loan. And at that time I had like perfect credit, like 770 or some crazy shit. And I'm going in like cocky, like, yo, yeah, I know I'm going to get approved. I'm just seeing how much I'm going to approve me for. They're like, yeah, nothing. I'm like, okay. And the reason was because like I had something that had went to collection, like $200 for like an old electricity bill or something that had paid off like a year ago. They're like, yeah, that's the reason. I'm like, it's paid off. Like what is the reason? But it went to collection. Anyway, whatever. That's cool. As far as experiences in business, it's kind of a daily thing that happens to business owners as far as like people wanting discounts and, you know, looking at what you have to offer and thinking less than automatically. I don't know if that's like because I'm a black male and, you know, I don't know what that is, but so I had this crazy experience of this lady walks into the barbershop and she had this look on her face where she looked at me and then she looked around. She was like, oh, I know this is going to be something, you know, something's going to be about it, whatever. So she sits down. My business partner, Johnny, is cutting her son's hair. We're having good conversation. We connect to her because she was from Chicago, which is where Johnny's from. So they're conversing about that, incense burning, like old school R&B music is playing. We're all having a good time. On top of that, like Johnny blazes, like the little kid's haircut, flat fire cut. And at that point, like she realizes she's had like one of the best experiences she's had since she's moved to Eau Claire. She's like, wow, that was pretty good. That was like the opposite of what I was expecting. And like in her mind, she's like, okay, she starts looking around like, who owns this business? Because for some reason it could not have been us.
It's crazy. That's what I'm saying is like you like to have this idealistic version of the world that everybody's just fully accepting and like racism just isn't a thing anymore.
Right.
And it is. Like it really sucks that it is, and hopefully we can continue to like push past that. And I think Eau Claire has gotten a lot better, you know, in recent years for sure. Part of it I think is just because Eau Claire is such a sheltered place, right? Like the only schools we have are Catholic or the regular public schools. There's like nothing else out there, right? So, and when I went to school, we had a graduating class of like 400, and maybe I'm totally like not remembering, but there was maybe 5 black people in that 400 graduating class. It was like almost all white people, or we have a fairly large Hmong community in Eau Claire. But otherwise, it's just like all white people. And when there's not a whole lot of diversity, people just aren't like familiar with it.
Right.
You know, they're less comfortable with it because they're not just like involved. It's just a different way here. But then again, if you go out somewhere like Idaho, I went to a gas station there when I was driving. They're like way out of left field. They're on like a whole nother thing. I went into the gas station just to like buy a case of beer or something. And the gas station attendant straight up laughed at me and was like, "What, are you trying to rob us?" And then the other guy laughed too. And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Take your mask off." I'm like, they're required in the country. What are you talking? What?
We're in a whole panorama.
Yeah, so there's drastically different. I need to like spend more time in some other cities. That's for sure.
I feel like that's like the key to knowing people. Like, to know other people, you got to spend time with other people and immerse yourself in these communities. Like, if you've only grown up around a certain group of people, you're not going to be as knowledgeable or comfortable with people from different ethnicities, backgrounds, religions. So definitely travel and then meet people. But if you don't do that, I feel like everyone kind of makes these assumptions and ideas of what other people are like, which can lead to you assuming differently than what reality is.
Yeah. And like I said, that could be from any other random, like anything that makes somebody else different if you're not familiar with it. Because yeah, you see that with like sex, race, religion, but you see that with like fandoms. You see people who think people watch anime are like these whatever
anime is
weird people. But that's what I'm saying is like if you're not familiar with it, all of a sudden it's weird, right?
But looking at me, you probably wouldn't think that I watch anime.
That's what I'm saying. But then I see you in Dragon Ball Z t-shirts when you're working out, and I'm like, that's my dude.
Right.
Okay, so I ask this one sometimes on the show because I want to have more of these things in Eau Claire. I just want to see more of this stuff in general. Small businesses are such a huge part of a community because we do a lot of community events. We have a lot of community involvement, like that type of thing. When versus like a Shields like doesn't do shit, so whatever. But places like us, we definitely do. During the summer, during the nice weather in general, I do events pretty much every other week. Every other year except for this, pandemic year, but normally I do. If you got to have one day where in Eau Claire it was Premium Blendz Day, this is your day that people look forward to every year, just like how there's Pickle Fest or whatever, just like how there's Eau Claire's Fest and they do the pre-Eau Claire's thing. What is Premium Blendz Day? What is that event going to look like?
It'd be something similar to our Customer Appreciation Day. So probably 3 months in, we threw a Customer Appreciation Day and got Brian next door, the owner of Red Coal Barbecue, cooked crazy good food. We were in here playing spades, had a spades table, dominoes, Uno, just good music playing. Everybody's eating, having a good time. It just made you feel welcome, like a community. I don't know, something similar to that, or yeah.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I want to do more, like, I really want to have like an actual like passion event, more of them. I've had like big ones, like my shop's 5-year anniversary. I don't remember if you were there at that point. Did I know you yet?
How long has your shop been open?
April 2014. So this would have been a year and a half ago. Well, anyways, we did this huge party over at Ivy, if you're familiar with Kyle. Yeah. That was the first event they ever had there. It was before they actually fully opened. We had like over 200 people there. 3 bands played. It was like wild.
Sheesh.
Yeah, we gave away a bunch of artwork, did these drawings, and gave away stuff to the skate park. I think we raised like $1,000, and it was, yeah. That was tight. One of my other favorite memories too is when we did our shop videos. We had one of our skate videos that we did, me and a bunch of the other dudes in town, and we had it at the movie theater downtown. And we ended up having to have 2 showings because there was way too many people. We hit fire capacity and stuff.
Sheesh.
Yeah, it was nuts. It was so sick. That was during Jazz Fest where the streets were closed down. So there was just a ton of people skating outside. I think a lot of people were bummed because like there were people playing like music, like trying to do their Jazz Fest thing. So you had all these like older people wearing suits and stuff. And these skaters are just like playing games of skate in the street with their boards flying. We like took over. It was so sick.
Oh, I wish I would have been there.
Yeah, that was a good time. There will be plenty more of these things. So getting towards the end of the show here, I always like to ask a couple of things. First off, I want to hear another story. You've been telling me all kinds of awesome stories, but one is one of your favorite experiences that you've had since you opened this place.
Probably placing on Volume 1's Best Barbershop list.
That's crazy because that was like right away. Right?
It was like 6 months in the business at that point. I mean, of course, me being me, I wanted number 1, of course, but 7 months in, number 2 barbershop in the city, so That was a dope experience to see that, like, the actual recognition of people support you and, in what you're doing.
Yeah, I think we all got to try to stay so much more positive. Maybe I don't know if you do this, but I definitely get down on myself constantly because I'm like, I wonder if people actually like what I'm doing. I wonder if they're actually going to like this.
Right.
And just the small words of affirmation that you get from your clients, from your friends or whatever, that are like any time that I like put something out and somebody goes, man, that's so cool. Like even the offhanded comments when I'm like talking about something and I'm having a beer with somebody and go, God damn, that sounds so cool. I'm like, you think so? Sick, dude. I
people
like that.
fuck with it.
Yeah. So we talked a little bit off mic about like what, some of the skills and stuff that we had to learn through this time frame. But what is a lesson that you can tell us right now that you had to learn? What's something that has been really helpful for you to be able to be successful in what you're trying to do?
It all works out in the end. Starting off, when I was trying to build a business, like I always thought that you had to have like this master plan and master business plan, and I basically I winged it and it worked out. It's more of a believe in yourself kind of thing. Like as long as you have that belief in yourself and think that you can do something and know that you can do it, you get it done. It's just following the means and figuring out a way to actually do it.
Yeah, I think it's like when you see that thing of like a kid riding a bike, once you focus on the tree, you're going to hit it. Right. If you focus on where you're trying to go, you're bound to get there. But what I think gets in most people's way is they get that self-defeating feeling.
Yeah.
And that's really the only thing that stops them. If they just keep their head up and looking in the direction they want to get, sometimes it might take longer than you thought, but like you're going to get there. You know what I mean?
Precisely. I mean, that's literally how I live my life is I have this picture in my mind of where I know I want to get to and where I'm going to get to. And I mean, I do this on a daily is I know where I want to be. So I make daily decisions. Like, is this one thing that I'm doing today going to help me go in that direction, or is it leading me farther from it?
Yeah, it's about making that constant little course correction, right? Because nobody's going to be perfect. It's not one straight line to get from where you want to be to the next spot. Like that's not necessarily how it goes. Sometimes you're going to be walking and there's an obstacle in your way. Do you turn around? Do you stop? No, you'd probably just take a little side step and go around it. You know what I mean? Sometimes that obstacle is bigger. Sometimes that obstacle is a tree on the sidewalk for whatever reason. Sometimes that obstacle is a highway that you now have to walk to the next exit, but whatever, like there's always ways around it. You know what I'm saying?
Most of the time the obstacle is a lesson that you need to learn. So fall on your face and get back up.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So what's next for Tay Blendz?
Whatever it is, it's going to be greatness, man. I know what next. Just whatever you're expecting, just expect it to be great.
Yeah, like I said before, you just got to believe that that's what it's going to be.
Yeah.
If you don't believe it, nobody else is going to believe it.
Precisely.
That's for damn sure. So moving forward, how can people best support what you're trying to do? Whether it's the shop or if it's your own endeavors, if it's your podcast that's going to be coming up, what are the best ways for people to be able to support what you're doing?
Definitely just keep in tune to what I'm doing. You can follow me on any social media platform, mainly Instagram, at Tay Blendz, or follow the shop at Premium Blendz just to see what I'm up to. And from there, you can support whatever I got going on.
Yeah, I think social media is obviously like a great tool with that, right? Of like, I always tell people, yes, you can just buy stuff. Like you can go to passionpod.org, you can donate to the show, you can buy stuff. That's fine.
Right.
But you can also just follow it on social media. And I don't expect you to share everything all the time.
Right.
You don't have to. But like you said, if you're just tuned in, you'll probably find something that you like. Otherwise, you wouldn't listen to the show. So when you do see stuff that you like, then share it.
Then choose if you want to support it or not.
Or
but just keep in tune.
I feel like I'm pretty okay with taking it. Don't be a jackass, but like send me criticism. I'm cool with it. You know what I mean?
It's how you learn.
Right. Send me a DM and say, dude, I really love it if you did this type of thing, or I listened to this, or I saw this thing. I think this would be another avenue. You know what I mean? Like those are also ways to help that don't cost you anything. But by all means, for you, like, dude, just come in and get a haircut. Like
for real.
Simple. That'll work. So do you have any last words to end the episode with? Anybody else that you need to shout out? Any last things you want to talk about?
Nah, if you just get anything from this podcast, just believe in yourself.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of The Passion Pod. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. We'll see you soon.